Pascal Verskoris, line producer. What's the job? The art of not saying no.
I never actually understood ultimately how involved a line producer is. I don't know how the man sleeps.
Line producer is an odd position because you're sort of in the middle between art and money.
It's a difficult position because his master is the studio as well, so he's responsible to the people who give us money to make this show.
Basically, it's all about the budget and making sure that we make our days and that we come in on budget.
The thing I like about Pascal is that he's very willing to adapt. He understands when certain things need to happen for the sake of creative, and then there's certain people who think about just the money, and Pascal somehow has his hand in both cookie jars, which is really interesting.
When you care about the show and not just about the money aspect of it, then all of a sudden you get caught between the two chairs and trying to deliver to the studio and to the public the best possible show on behalf of the writers, keeping in mind the financial obligations that we have. Often that position is regarded as someone who has to say no all the time. I don't want to be that guy.
If he wants to make something bigger, if we have to go over, he's going to get a phone call, and so he has to. It's definitely a balancing act.
You read a script, you read a story, and then you go, okay, so now this is going on fire, or this big car accident, and how do we do that? How you accomplish, the vision of the writers, keeping in mind your fiscal responsibilities.
For this show, it starts with the script. We generally get scripts on the first day of pre-production, and we go through them with the writers and start to figure out what the story beats are, how we're going to tell that story, what we need to tell it.
We were thinking that if Alaric can bring Jeremy to his side, so that Alaric has somebody that he can talk to, and also we've got something going on between Jeremy and Alaric, and Jeremy's got then a point of view which
grows off the last episode.
When you get the script, what you try to do first is to try to find out what the story is about, what the intentions are, and then how to bring it to life. Once you understand what they're trying to accomplish, then the job, I think, is to try to come up with solutions that are production friendly, but also that you can present to the writers from their point of view as well.
The script generally changes a little bit too as it goes to network and studio, and then you incorporate those changes and start shooting.
Action.
It's really a team effort. It goes from all levels. It goes from the prop master to the executive producers.
Our sets, our hair and makeup and production design and stuff is better than anything out there.
A great deal of the time it feels like you're shooting a feature film. But the scale of the production is definitely reflected in what you capture.
Biggest victory for this season, I think, the speakeasy.
My last episode I did was the 1920s, and we had to build a whole speakeasy. We had to make sure that the period was authentic without being cheesy.
It just was so fun to shoot because I forgot I was acting for a minute, and I walk out, and knock on the speakeasy door, and the guy slides the thing, and you wave and you go in.
You've hit a period piece correctly if you walk on set and you get chills. And that's what happened the first time I walked onto that speakeasy set.
It was a massive undertaking, a big set. 20s is hard to translate in images because it demands a lot of production values, so we had to invest ourselves quite a bit in that one.
Guess who my eyes have just spied, ladies? Looking for a good time, Mr. Salvatore?
Save me a dance, Gloria.
You read it on paper and you go, oh, how do you do this? It's been done before with millions and millions and more time. We did it with what we had, and I think it's as good as anything that's been on a screen anywhere.
Come on, Henrik, our brothers are fighting.
The Viking episode was incredible to shoot. It was miserable weather. It was sort of drizzling the entire time, so it was muddy and wet. It was really hard to tough it out, but it ended up looking so beautiful because it was really gray and it looked really real.
We had to build a village, and we had to recreate an environment for the original where we're thinking they're coming from. We have a forest here on our property that we use a lot, and we had to build our village on that forest, but we had to use space that we've never used before. That was a swamp initially, so we actually used hydroponic techniques and turned this into a shootable and dry area so we can build a village, which we've done. So that took a lot of planning, probably 6 or 8 weeks of our time.
We have such an incredible crew and props team, and they made it look so perfect, and it really helped to get into character in that time.
There was a tree that has to burn down, And originally we were going to make it out of concrete, which would have taken a long time to sculpt it. And the weight of this was going to be so astronomical that we needed several days to actually move this thing out of there. And on a Saturday, I was driving to go shopping or something, and I saw some people cutting down a huge, gigantic oak tree. And I went up to the woman who owns it, and I said, look, I'll buy this tree from you, and we'll move it, and we'll take it out of here. And it was gigantic. I had my construction coordinator come down and look at it and arrange to have it brought back. And it worked out perfectly. And then after we burned it, we got it out of there, you know, overnight, and made a big pile of ash. And that was probably the most lucky thing that happened for the whole thing.
We get to do all these great flashbacks for all these different periods, so then we have to research that stuff and then get things together and either make them or rent them.
That's a big challenge too, is figuring out the looks for those time periods and how it's going to be lit, how the characters are going to speak, how the characters are going to move.
All of this work that they put together comes into real life. And then we end up with the shows that we get.
The production design and production value and what's put into the writing, directing, producing, acting, building of it is so high quality, it's frightening.
Why don't you teach me that trick, young Moria?
Pascal has been with us since the beginning, and he's kind of been like the backbone in ways.
Pascal's a very hard worker, and he pulls everything together for us.
We have our own founding family here in the Vampire Diaries, and he's definitely a very important member of that.
He knows the show better than anybody else because he's been here since the beginning. So he's really a great ally to have.
He enjoys his job a lot, so he makes me enjoy my job a lot.
There's a lot of pieces to put together when you film a TV show, and it's not easy, and that's kind of his job, so he's done a pretty incredible job.